Storm Babet is going to bring increasingly wet and windy weather across many parts of Scotland as we go through the rest of Thursday and into Friday. And what's noteworthy is that we have easterly winds. As a result, it's across eastern parts of Scotland where we're going to get the heaviest rain and the strongest winds. Some places likely to see in excess of 100 millimetres of rain in just a day, and some parts could see in excess of 200 millimetres, which means in some areas we will have well over a month's worth of rain in just a few days. This isn't usual autumn weather, even for Scotland. It is going to be exceptionally wet and very windy. There's going to be a spell of rain pushing its way northwards, starting off across southeast England, then reaching more northern areas of England as we go through the early hours of Friday, bringing a spell of very wet and windy weather across northern parts of England into Wales as we go through Friday. We could see totals in excess of 100 millimetres, particularly over higher ground, and some strong winds around eastern coast, perhaps gusts in excess of 70 miles per hour. So it is going to be a disruptive weather day. We currently have a red warning across parts of eastern Scotland. It's southern Aberdeenshire and the uplands of Angus where we're going to see the highest rainfall totals and the greatest risk of those severe impacts. And red warnings really aren't that common. You have to go back to summer of last year where we had a red warning of any kind, and that was for the extreme heat when we had that heat wave. But for the last time we had a red rainfall warning anywhere in the UK, you have to go back to 2020 when Storm Dennis hit. And for the last time we had a red warning for rain in Scotland, it's back in 2015 when Storm Desmond. So that just goes to show we don't issue red warnings all that often, and it's really because we have very severe weather coming in association with Storm Babet. Across parts of Scotland, particularly where we have the amber and red warnings, we have the risk of some severe disruption, as well as the usual things such as disruption to travel with road closures and cancellations to public transport. There's the risk of some damage to property with the heavy rain and strong winds, including the risk of some flooding. We're also likely to see some utilities such as electricity, gas, water, maybe mobile phone networks being cut off, and some communities could get cut off due to the floodwater, and that could last for several days. With the wet and windy weather across parts of northern England, we are likely to see some significant impacts. There'll be disruption to travel. There could be road closures. I am expecting cancellations to public transport as well. There's also the risk of some flooding. There could be some damage to properties. And as well as that, some networks could get cut off for a little bit of time. There is going to be further wet and windy weather as we go into the weekend. Saturday is looking, again, very wet and windy for many places. The rain and the strong winds should ease somewhat as we go into Sunday, and whilst the beginning of next week does look a little bit dry, it is going to be quite changeable with perhaps more unsettled weather on the way as we go through the latter part of next week.